Hey guys and gals, welcome back to another episode of The Creator Speaks. Full disclosure before we begin, I actually have no idea how this announcement I wasn't notified of the announcement. I have no idea how that just slipped past my radar. But I just found out about it a few days ago, and I've sort of compiled information to make a first impressions video of sorts. So, let's begin, shall we? In this episode of The Creator Speaks, I'm going to be giving my initial thoughts and initial impressions on Disney's Descendants. Now, if you don't know what Disney's Descendants is, I'll give you a brief background. Disney's Descendants is another Disney Channel original movie that is slated to air sometime in the summer of 2015. They haven't been that specific in terms of like a date, but they've said so far is the summer of 2015 this would premiere. And the bare bones plot is that Disney's Descendants is going to focus on the children, or really teenagers, of four classic Disney villains: Jafar from Aladdin, Cruella de Vil from 101 Dalmatians, the Evil Queen from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty. Now, from what I've been able to gather from various articles, the actual plot, the sort of more detailed plot synopsis, is that in Disney's Descendants, the son of Belle and Beast from Beauty and the Beast is slated to become the king of their kingdom. And one of his first acts as ruler of the kingdom is to offer a chance of redemption to the aforementioned teenagers of the Disney villains who had previously been imprisoned on a forbidden island along with their parents. When they're brought over to the kingdom, they are allowed to attend prep school in the kingdom alongside the offspring of the Disney heroes, presumably from the same stories as the villains. What they're going to do for Cruella de Vil's case, I don't know, because all the other villains have respective heroes. Like Jafar has Aladdin and Jasmine, the Evil Queen has Snow White and her prince, and Maleficent has Aurora and Prince Philip. What they're going to do for Cruella, I don't know. But while they're there, they sort of face a dilemma. The teenagers face a dilemma. That is to either let their parents help them escape the island and help them regain power, or reform and become good guys. Overall, from what I've been able to gather from the plot and from what I've just told you, I'm going to get some flack for this, I know it. I actually think this plot seems interesting, and I'm actually interested to see how it plays out. And for me, at least, it definitely holds a lot of potential to be a great film, at least a good Disney Channel original movie. Will it be one? I don't know, because it hasn't premiered yet. But as far as the plot's concerned, I'm actually kind of excited, and I'm actually kind of interested to see how it plays out. However, there are some things that do worry me about this project from what I've gathered from, again, various articles. Firstly, the film is a musical, which I don't think it really needs to be. I don't think, from what I've just told you from the story, that I don't think it needs to be a musical. Can it be a musical? Yeah, anything in theory could be a musical. I just don't think it's, not that it's not worthy, but that it's warranted, that the movie is warranted of songs. Because I just don't want it to slow the plot down. I just want, but again, I'm saying things like that when I haven't actually seen it yet. Nobody's really seen it yet. But when I've heard it was a musical, I didn't really think that it needed to be. But alongside that, the musical numbers are going to be directed and choreographed by Kenny Ortega, who had previously been involved with the High School Musical franchise. Now, before anybody jumps down my throat, I don't doubt Ortega's talent. I think he's even doing the choreographing the remake of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. So clearly the man has talent. I'm not denying that. What I do question, though, is whether the choreography of Disney's Descendants is just going to look like High School Musical, but with a different outer shell. So instead of teenagers attending high school, it's Disney villains' offspring attending high school. That's the only thing that really concerns me about his involvement with the project. Along with that, Kristen Chenoweth, who plays Maleficent, to which I will talk about her casting in a minute here, was actually quoted in talking about the musical numbers, saying, quote, "Let's face it, she," referring to Maleficent, "sings and dances." And I'm sorry, but as a hardcore fan of the Disney villains, I just can't picture Maleficent from the original film, or even from Maleficent, the movie that Disney made about her last year. I just can't see that character singing and dancing. Without it really feeling out of character for her, unless this portrayal of Maleficent is drastically different than any other portrayal of the character that has ever existed. I just don't think it's going to work. I think it's just going to look really goofy, even for an idea like this. Secondly, well, as I previously mentioned, I do question the casting of Kristen Chenoweth as Maleficent. As, again, I might get some flack for this, I just don't see her fit for the role, mainly with her iconic voice. If you if you don't know who Kristen Chenoweth is, she played Glinda in the original Broadway cast of Wicked. She was in a Robin Williams movie in like the early 2000s called RV. She was one of the characters in the reboot in the late 90s of the musical You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, which she won a Tony for that. So clearly she has talent for her vocals and for her acting. I'm not denying that. But I just don't think she can pull off a really good Maleficent. And they haven't really given us much reason to not question her ability to play the part because they haven't released much footage of her at all, or much footage of the movie in general at all. There are a few promos that are airing that really only they show footage of Maleficent's daughter, the one that I saw, sort of picking an apple from a tree, and then the logo appears, and that's it. There hasn't been much footage leaked of this movie, which could work in the movie's favor or could work for the movie's detriment. We'll just have to wait and see. Uh, but I will say this, however, in her favor, she doesn't look like her usual self in the costume. In fact, when I first saw the picture of her in the costume, because there are some pictures of the villains in the costumes, I actually could barely see Kristen Chenoweth at all. I couldn't see her in that costume, which again, that's a good thing. It shouldn't look like, it shouldn't look like we should be able to see the actress in the costumes. We should be able to see the character in the costume. So you sort of put that I'm not dead set against her. I'm just worried about her casting, and I'll just leave it at that. Finally, like I just mentioned before, another thing that does sort of have me worried is the costumes. The original villain costumes in this movie look decent enough for what the project is. I think the only one that really looks drastically different in terms of the main four villains of the iconic Disney villains is Maleficent. She's the only one that doesn't look exactly like her movie counterpart. Does look sort of different. All the other ones look real stylistically similar to their original film counterparts. However, the costumes for the teenagers look radically different from their parents. Aside from the jacket on Cruella's son, which is her typical white and black motif, I honestly could not tell which villains belonged to these kids. Uh, you know, I don't know if maybe when they first released the promo picture, people could easily point out who belonged to who. But like, I'll give you another example. When I first saw Jafar's son, who you'll probably be seeing a picture of the kids right now. Jafar's son is the one with the long hair and the black cap. He looked more like Scar's kid, which I know that doesn't make any sense because Scar was a lion and he's not a lion. But somebody out there tell me that he doesn't look like he could be Scar's son and not Jafar's. Like there's no visual motif to Jafar, at least from what I see in his costume. I think they started to do that with Cruella's, but I think they just sort of dropped the idea. I mean, there's sort of a thing with Maleficent. There was like a little green strand, and I think in her hair, which you could say that leads into Maleficent, but it's weak at most. So again, I'm not questioning the costumes for the actual Disney villains, and I actually do appreciate that they didn't make them look drastically different. The Offspring, on the other hand, yeah, they really do look different, and I do sort of feel like people are going to have to watch, sort of, they're going to have to say their names a couple times and see them side by side with their parents a couple times until people actually figure out who's going to who. Another final example before I end and sort of go into the final thoughts. is that the evil queen's daughter, again, kind of has an Ursula motif with all the blue in her costume, which is actually another thing I will bring up. The evil queen's costume in this is blue, which she usually wears purple. Obviously, they gave purple to Maleficent, so I understand why. I understand why they gave her blue, but I don't know. It's just another weird quirk about the costumes that I thought I would toss in. So overall, with Disney's Descendants, I'm cautiously optimistic about this project. I feel like it could be really good, and as far as I think I read in one article that it's opening itself up to maybe being a series, like they're doing a movie and then maybe a series. Which, if they do bring this into a series, that would be actually very interesting, especially if the villains hopefully don't reform at the end. Which I will say that, yeah, do not let Jafar, Cruella, the Evil Queen, and Maleficent, don't let them reform, because that just goes against their characters. If you want to have the teenagers reform, that's fine. They're new characters, but don't let the other villains reform, please. That will bring the project down a lot of points in my book, and I'm sure with a lot of hardcore fans of the Disney villains. And again, I'm not sort of to quench some people who might criticize me. I have no problem with other portrayals of the Disney villains. In fact, Villains Tonight, which is a Disney Cruise Line show starring the Disney villains, I actually kind of like that show, even though not a lot of people do. I actually kind of like it. Uh, but again, I guess different strokes for different folks. But again, I'm cautiously optimistic about this project. Sort of similar to the Buddies musical Christmas video that I did. I will, when I finally do see Disney's Descendants, I will review it, or make a first impressions video of the finished product, and sort of quasi review it. But yeah, I just figured I would let my thoughts be out there. If you've seen, obviously I put pictures in this video, so if you have any thoughts about the pictures that you've seen in this video, comment below. Let me know. I'm actually very interested to see what people think of this. And yeah, that's all I gotta say on this one, guys. And this is until next time, guys. I'll be seeing you. Bye.